Hi everyone, this is CR Game Room. I'm Chris. That's Rob, and further over there,
I'm Rob.
that's Joe.
That's Joe.
Ryan's still busy telling stories about a movie or slash TV show, so he's not
Yeah.
available today. Um,
Yep.
so, how you guys doing?
Oh, doing good to pretty good. It's been
Good.
a busy week. Busy week for me. So I have my big giant bottle. Did you know LaCroix makes 1 liter bottles?
Oh, jeez.
That seems dangerous.
Not sponsored, by the way. But
Hashtag not sponsored.
hashtag not. No, I got this from the Dollar Tree. Actually, I love LaCroix, and this is $1. So I was like, hell yeah! Get my sparkling waters in.
I don't think I've ever
Get
had
my fizzy
LaCroix.
bubblies. What? You never have?
Mm-mm. Maybe for the road trip, we should get some LaCroix and some water.
You can do it.
Oh, I'll take the water.
Road trip.
I don't like mineral water.
Well, I mean, I was gonna buy a whole entire thing of water for the road trip so we could drink that. Everyone, this week we're gonna be talking about tournaments that were going on and the pre-cons for Magic.
Wait, before we do that, can
Oh.
we just acknowledge how good this beard line looks right here in the lighting?
I was
Bro,
gonna.
did you get it trimmed? Did you get it?
I did it myself with a straight razor because I'm a gangster like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I cut myself plenty of times in the past, so it took a while to get used to, man. I've sliced up my face plenty of times. I think I was on a stream one time with a big old slice in my face because I just went ham on it. Oh my god, so close. Intensifies. All right, go proceed.
I need to trim my beard because it's getting weird and whatnot. So
Let's
I'm
bring a
gonna-
straight razor and shave Chris while we're there.
I'm gonna wait until Worlds.
that's a
Actually,
weird flex. let's shave Chris. Okay.
Let's shave Chris. Let's get the whole community together and we'll have a shave Chris day.
Oh my-
How's
Nah,
that sound?
I have a feeling we're all gonna get dude up for the Worlds.
I'm gonna get my toes did.
It's every other
Again.
week for you. Yeah. So, yeah, me and
What are
Robert.
we talking about?
Me and Robert got together and played some Commander games against each other, and
Chris destroyed me
2 times.
2 times in a row. It's 1v1 is not the way to go with this
No.
deck, I don't think.
No, and my deck is just so explosive with the enter the battlefield stuff that it's just kind of insane. So
Yeah. Pretty redundant.
Wait, the Wizards deck didn't work for you?
No. Probably because I don't know how to pilot it very well is probably the issue here.
I had
But yeah.
I had like on turn 5 or 6 like 30 or 40 power on the board each
It was
time.
ridiculous, dude. And for some reason, every time I drew stuff, it was the one that one card that throws stuff into the graveyard. Choose 3 and put them in the graveyard
Yeah.
or whatever. And then I couldn't do anything with it. It was horrible. Like, okay.
You didn't have any
So-
of your reanimator spells in there.
The one time
And
he
if
did, I
didn't have the
countered it.
mana for it. Yeah.
And I
Oh.
countered the one time that he did do it because I was like, no, I want to win this.
This meaningless 1v1 practice game. I want to win this.
Hey
Yep.
man, I play for keeps. I play for keeps.
Yep. He took my slip from my car, so now he has to pay my car note. So
Oh jeez.
Hey, man.
sometimes it bees that way.
It's
Street
under-
rules.
It's under your credit, so I'm just gonna like only pay like
Damn it.
a quarter
That's
payment.
true. Crap.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that 1 month, it's fine because I'm ahead on my payments. But next month's gonna be a problem. I'm gonna have to get that slip back.
What's up, Reg?
So, this week we had a really busy week, like Rob was saying, especially over the weekend. We had our very successful True Game Room birthday bash, celebrate True Mr. Six's birthday. The first 45 minutes were a total shit show, but Chris managed to come in and save us like he always does. Thank you for taking time off and doing that, bro. Appreciate that.
No problem. I mean, you got the championship match for the channel for the Legacy one.
I did, and it was very interesting. It was a great match. They were 20 seconds shy of running to time. It was amazing.
Oh wow.
Peter Jessic just performed so well against Laurier, and Laurier did really well too. But the one of the key moments was actually in game 1 where he missed his Thunderbird rolls twice.
Ooh.
And so he had a hope as well. So he landed the hope, missed the Thunderbird, and that gave Peter an open door to just seal the win on game 1. And then Laurier repeated with the same team, managed to do his combo thing, and then it came down to game 3 where Peter just constantly had that fish. He never missed the fish. And he actually had like one or two sidekicks to just roll them out. And it came down to one really big swing from Peter to close it out. It was a really tight, close game. They both were just phenomenal at piloting on game 3. It's just Peter out-advantaged Laurier a lot.
I can show the teams that are banned from our tournaments going forward for Legacy, if you'd like.
Hold on. Before you show that, I need Joe to describe the matches play by play,
Shut up.
just like Ryan.
Already, no. I already did that.
No.
Already did that as the single commentary.
Sorry,
I
Ryan.
was, it was just me, so.
Yeah.
All
Force attack global wins. Yep.
All right.
I think that's what happened.
I believe this is Team 1. I'm transitioning into it.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1. Camera 2. Oh wait, you can't see me anymore.
Yeah, we can't see you anymore. So this is the Iceman Shriek combo, or Iceman Techno, where he has Iceman to do the pingy things, Professor X to field sidekicks.
So this team he won with on game 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, like, it performed super fast, super efficiently. And like I said, Laurier missed those 2 key Thunderbird rolls, and Peter was able to just continuously whittle him down with Iceman.
Yeah, and he has that techno to turn everything into lightning bolts and just be spammy McSpammerson on his Iceman.
So I think on the final turn,
God.
he managed to techno down like 5 or 6 sidekicks. It was insane.
Oh my god.
That's insane.
I'm glad that Iceman is banned.
Yeah.
So this team is actually really tuned. I don't know if the Mjolnir was supposed to have been the rare. I have a feeling it was, but because I never saw him pick
because
it
that
up.
does damage. Because it'll do damage to everything.
that's
So he'll ping his Iceman for the 2 damage and then knock out his other stuff, and then I guess swing through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So this was pretty much an all Iceman show for Pete. So
All right.
What is the name of that team? Did he have a name for it, like Cold as Ice?
I think it was just Peter's Iceman team. That's the name of it.
That's the name of it. Peter's Iceman team. Nailed it.
okay. So for his second team, it was actually Queen Grabstab and a whole bunch of Batiri battle stacks. He
Hold
calls
on.
it his Batiri team.
Hold on.
Yeah, I think you might have the wrong list there, bro.
I had it. Hold on, everybody.
It's Jessica.
One moment, please.
No, this is the right team. This is the Mr. Fix-It. That's what I have on his thing is
No, that's Peter V's team, bro.
that's right. Jesco. There we go.
Yep.
Then I had the wrong one for the team A. Hold on.
Yeah. Hang on, because it was like what?
There we go. That's that one. Let me get the team B. All right.
Okay, so Team A is still the Iceman team.
Is it?
I don't know, because you're switching back and forth.
There's no Iceman. He does not have an Iceman.
Oh, okay. So the Batiri team is fantastic. So he was able to swing in 2 turns in a row with Batiris that were as big as like 5 plus. And then that's what helped him close out the game. Yeah, so it wasn't the Iceman that was performing that way. My apologies.
Yeah.
So this team, the Batiri team, was in game. It performed really well in game 3 because he was able to. No. It was game 1. It was game 1 that he was able to do.
Yeah.
He was able to get the Queen Grabstab like super early. It was insane. The skill he had with piloting this. So his Queen Grabstab came on. So here's how crazy it was. He purchased Kobold Trap early, and then Clayfaced it in after he, because Queen Grabstab was his first or second turn purchase. I think it was his first turn purchase because he was going second against Laurier's team. And then you'll have to forgive me. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I only had 3.5 hours of sleep. I commentated through the whole thing, and it was a little rough. But So game 1 was he purchased the Queen Grab Stab super early, either turn 1 or turn 2, and then he bought 3 of the Batiris on his 4th turn whenever Queen Grab Stab came up for him by using Kobold Trap with the Clayface Global. And then all 3 of those Batiris came out, and at this point, Laurier had 2 sidekicks to block with.
Oh, wow.
So the Batiris just went ham, and he also went through with the Queen Grab Stab. It was insane.
All right.
And it was very good. So he pretty much used he pretty much did that to his advantage the whole way through. He didn't actually, like, Laurier tried to assemble his X-Men combo with Thunderbird, and like I said, he missed those 2 key rolls. Laurier constantly had to field a Hope, and just to be able to block the Batiri battle stacks because he kept on swarming them out.
All right.
So then game 2 came around. Laurier won that handily by turn 6 by doing the Thunderbird combo. His rolls were really well put together. So his team 2, now this is actually very interesting because he took a slower approach to it, and Laurier used the Captain America global to his advantage too. So on this one, Peter on game 3 bought 2 Atlantises super early, and he bought a Wong, and that helped him get the rest of his team going because he used those Wongs whenever they missed to purchase a Black Widow. So by the time it came around to turn 9, because they had really good back and forths, Laurier was using Captain America Global to his advantage, and then Peter was using the Fish very well. So on the final turn, on turn 8 or 9, I believe, for Pete, he wound up rolling out 2 Black Widows and a Wong. And he already had on the field 3 sidekicks and a Shriek. So he was able to field all of the Black Widows, buffing the rest of his team by +3, I think was the highest one. And so he wound up swinging on the final turn somewhere near like 17 damage. And at this point, Laurier had already been at like 9 life.
So there's no coming back from that.
Basically, he was able to close it out in that one swing because his sidekicks were huge.
Yeah. So when we have to sign up for for Legacy 2, we'll have a list of all these cards. It's only going to be the winning person's team. So that's Jezco's teams. So you could build with whatever else and the WizKid bands. So there's going to be 20 cards banned along with Rare Cosmic Cube and Super Rare Yanti. Everything else is fair game still.
So the biggest cards that we're missing from this are the Black Widow with the Force Attack Global, both versions, by the way. We're missing out on Shriek, which, I mean, no love lost there, as well as Green Double Mask. We're missing out on a Sararak, Yellow Lantern Ring, and Atlantis. We're also missing out on Resurrection and Villainous Pact, and Creating Food and Water.
Oh my god.
And Billy Club.
Oh my god.
Yes. So Season 2 is going to be ridiculous because we're losing out on Clayface, Villainous Pact, Billy Club, both Force Attack Global, Black Widows, Shriek, and Green Double Mask. So people are really going to have to be unique with their ramp options.
Is Darkseid still legal?
Darkseid is still legal, yes.
We're also missing out on the illustrious the Soulmonger.
This is just hilarious. So one thing to note is that Nefarious Broadcast is being knocked out as well. So we're not really going to have 2 like global heavy or global reliant teams in Season 2 because it's going to come down to who can use their ramp, either Swarm or we are missing Kobold Trap too as well.
Yeah.
And then that Wong is going to be sorely missed as far as like Wong, Fish, and
which Wong is that? Is that the one that pumps the sidekicks?
No, this is the one that's fast.
Okay.
And one of my favorite basic actions, create food and water. That's hands down one of my favorites. So I'm going to switch back over to us. All right.
Wait, I'm not ready.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, I'm ready.
So those are going to be the bands. We're going to have those on there. Should be interesting for Legacy 2.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that really is a lot of backbones for a lot of these teams. I mean, Clayface is probably one of the bigger ones, but Shriek is the biggest out of all the biggest hits out of all those. Well, Shriek, Resurrection, and Villainous Fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Rez being gone and Villainous Fat. Yeah, all the go-to. I don't have anything else for ramp, so I'm going to get this and put it in there kind of ramp. So, sucks, but...
Ryan is, sorry to interrupt, Chris. Ryan is currently working on adding those bands to the page, the web page, crgr.rocks right now. So by the time we post signups, which will be after Worlds is whenever we're going to post signups. Just to give everybody a heads up, you do need to start prepping for that if you can find time in between prepping for Worlds and also faux Worlds or the rest of the Worlds.
I don't study, bro. I just show up to the test.
We notice.
So I wanted to try to get in a little shout out to James Bloor and Dice Fight and everything that's going on there. He's working behind the scenes right now to put on a tournament the weekend after Worlds, which is he's affectionately calling the rest of the Worlds. And anybody can enter. Anybody can enter. It's a 1 weekend event, meaning that Saturday. And then he's still coming up with a structure, but it is going to be competitive modern. And just to give everybody a heads up on that, and that will be around the same time that we're going to be starting up season 2 of Legacy.
Yeah. All right, and then the on the birthday bash for one true Mr. Six, I personally feel as though the winner, yes, Michael Ingley, I do agree. His team, he should have won the spoon, which, just so you know, he did. Everyone, he won the spoon because True Mr. Six decided that he had one of the more creative things. I do kind of agree that Andy had the very, very super thematic shield team.
Yeah, the only thing that was not a shield energy type on his team was Melinda May.
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing. He had all shield energy type shield characters. And I think in our book, he's the real winner. James Lohr, of course, he won. He was undefeated, I believe. He was undefeated. So, and then also, by the way, Peter Jessic was in that tournament as well. So this guy played at like his 10 a.m. or his like 11 a.m. He played Dice Masters from 11 a.m. to just past midnight after winning the 2-team takedown.
Dang.
It was insane. He just that was his like victory lap, so to speak.
Yeah.
I bet his arms were sore from rolling dice. Oh my God.
I mean, that's a solid 12 plus hours of, and then plus they had an after party, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those James and the guys at MOD, bless their hearts, they went hard. I think they rolled dice until like 3 a.m. If not, rolled drinks.
They partied like it was their birthday.
Yeah.
Robert came over unexpectedly, and we went to go get pizza. I hadn't eaten all day. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, also one thing that I failed to mention was what was it? No, Professor X wasn't in the band.
Okay, good.
Peter
So Mimic.
Hang on.
Mimic
sure I'm not wrong.
Ramp for the win.
PXG is not in the band, so.
Okay. Well, there we go. We still have Mimic Ramp, which is what everybody's going to be relying on now.
Yep.
So what else goes really good against Mimic Ramp? Tabasha Rogue. That's all I'm saying.
Boo.
Investigations are going to run rampant and everything. Oh, and Scarlet Witch I think Scarlet Witch is banned as well. No, she's good. Wow.
There's a lot still out there.
These games are going to take forever.
I know. They're going to be super slow. But Investigation is still... Investigation, Mimic Ramp are going to be some of the better ways to do that.
What's up, Jazzy?
What up? I don't know what lip rug means, but okay.
That's her facial hair, sir.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
You're so smart. Look at you, knowing things.
All right.
Yeah. What else?
It was a really fun week of Dice Masters, and then of course we have been prepping for Worlds. A good part of the community has actually been prepping a lot for Worlds. I've been testing nonstop for the last 8 days, and I've seen turnouts from people that we haven't seen in a while or heard from in a while. Shadow
Wow.
and Troy showed up to play on last night's weekly Dice Arena to get to shake off some of the rust, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and I might be playing in Worlds. I don't know. I still have to
You don't know.
decide.
Well, you'll probably do a lot better than I will with these damn rolls.
I don't know. I'm just trying to put my rolls on ice until I decide. So.
Yeah. Don't waste all your good rolls right now, man.
Right.
Bro,
Telling you.
I am not wasting any good rolls right now. I am getting all of the ROP rolls. It
Yeah.
is insane.
So
I'm glad you got them.
You need to build up the power then of the rolls, till eventually you'll be at peak luck ratio, and then you're just gonna take over. You know what I'm saying?
So,
Yeah.
not including, well, actually including two-team takedown, because one of my my Tabaxi Rogue team is my Worlds team. I'm just perfecting it. Including the two-team takedown, out of all the games that I've played the last 8 days, I've lost all of them but 2.
Man,
That
it sounds
is
like you need
saying
a
a lot.
new team.
Bro,
You just got to get in
Whenever-
1,000 reps, dude. That's all.
Yeah.
whenever I
You gotta put
miss,
the miles in, son.
yeah, I think I'm
miles in.
at 22 games right now.
And you've won 4?
I've only won 2.
2. Oh, I gave you more credit. Sorry.
Nah, man.
Thought you were better than that. And you
I've
weren't.
been keeping track. I've been keeping tallies.
It's not a good percentage, man.
Oh
No.
wow.
And it's the rolls. It's 100% the rolls. Whenever you have a green double mass that comes out 2 turns in a row and rolls on double energy each time.
Ooh.
That's when you
Yeah.
throw it.
Do you need some dice to put in some salt water?
What I actually need is a dice tower. I really think
Mm.
my little limp fish roll has something to do with
Whoa.
it. Because it's like Magikarp uses splash. It's not very effective.
I might be
There you
bringing
go.
my dice tower. I don't know though.
I honestly believe that Dice Tower would help a little bit because there's points where it's just like I don't think it's getting that much.
You know, it'd be funny
Love.
if you brought a dice tower that's 2 or 3 feet tall, and it took about 20 seconds for it to fully roll down there.
So Jocelyn can attest to this. She and I played 4 days last week, and out of those 4 days, I lost every single game to 2 of her different teams. And she could tell you there was a time where I landed Green Devil Masks. She, however, every time she went to reroll her Black Widow in one of the games, she had to reroll her Black Widow a total of 3 times over 4 turns, and each time her Black Widow came up.
Man.
Well, there was that one competitive in the Legacy event where they had to re-roll, but everything came up except for a sidekick dice for you.
On me?
Yeah, against you.
Yeah.
You should get a dice tower that comes down the thing, but it goes into a hand. So then you get that horrible sticky hand feeling on your
No.
dice.
No,
There you
thank you. But no, it was just like that. It was like missing key rolls on really pivotal turns. It's like my team has the sages. They're fine. They're always come up for me. I have 0 problems with that. Corrupting people still feels good. I still to this day will attest to how good corrupt the ability is. I think it's great. It's good for the body.
It helps. It's a good way to stay in shape.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Jesus.
I think that's a great idea. I do want to get one of those novelty Tabasco bottles and then just make a dice tower out of that.
Do
That'd
it.
be the sickest.
If you could find a way to cut it with glass and then make it work like that, that'd be kind of awesome.
That's why I said novelty because they have plastic. They have the
Big old
plastic.
jumbo ones.
Yeah.
I mean, not even plastic. You could do glass if you do it right.
Yes. I
That's
mean,
a lot of
glass
work,
don't
man.
mix.
Yeah. Glass cutters.
Or I can just get our.
Ryan turned the heat up then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ryan does 3D printing, so I'm half tempted to have him 3D print a dice tower for me with like the Tabasco logo, or at least like Tabasco Rogue on it, and CR
Yeah.
Game Room, of course, represent.
Represent. Where you at?
Speaking of representing, so very fun all week. I can say, as a member of this community, the online community, I have never seen so much activity out of the community, out of these last 2 weeks. It's been more activity these last 2 weeks than the entirety of last year.
It's a good thing that mom and dad
It
let us
feels
make
like
those
it.
bunk beds.
Yep. We have so much more room.
But I'm being serious. Like, there's been a serious uptick in the amount of activities for daily or weekly events, weekend events, monthly events. There's been a lot going on. It's a good time to be a Dice Masters player for the community aspect. Not so much a good time for the product aspect because they keep on flip-flopping on us.
Yeah.
Flippity floppity.
But
For
that's
sure.
not today's not the stream to go into that. I will say, if you're watching this and you showed up for the Commander breakdown, and you're interested in Dice Masters, now is a really good time to do that because we have campaign boxes and team packs that are accessible and they're cheap right now, and it'll help you get into the game and it'll help you get competitive immediately. Like the X-Men set has, I want to say, a third of the cards that you need to be competitive right now.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times they're having sales on the blind product, so if you can get in and get some of the older stuff for cheap and get the campaign boxes, it is a hell of a time. So
yeah, and unfortunately the local scenes are starting to suffer because of the drought in blind product, because stores just won't sell if it's non-blind product. They just don't sell as much because people come by and they see it on the shelf and they're like, well, that's going to be here next week. People aren't actively drafting out of those sets. They're not actively purchasing foil packs whenever they have pocket change.
all right.
J-Biz, that's horrible to hear.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
That's why I wanted to make a community where we can all play online, because my community, local to me, it died out, and I had to drive an hour at least to go play games. So.
Yep.
So even though we have in the DFW, the area where we all live, even though we have support from two major stores, Doc's Comics and Games, and then, well, at one point there was Duncanville, but we have support from Doc's, and we also have support from Boardwalk. The local scenes just aren't as active as you'd like for them to be.
Yep.
All right.
We tried. We did all we could.
Yep. And we might try again, but all right. So
that's after Worlds, and after we take a vacation after Worlds, because oh man, a weekend with you guys, it's already exhausting just to be on the stream with you guys.
Yeah. You're gonna be tired of me.
Nah, bro, I won't be tired of watching you work with that razor over that beard line, though. Never get tired of that.
All right. So this last half of the show, we're going to talk about Commander, everybody. The precons. So if you know anything about Magic the Gathering Commander, that's the game that we like to play, and we play as much as we can. I've played Michael Ingledew over the camera, and I've played Robert face-to-face. And we've also recorded a few things that I just haven't had time to edit and put out, but we're going to be talking about that right now, and because they're about to have precons come out this Friday, and we're going to go over the precons. All right. So which one do you guys want to go over first?
Let's go over the Rakdos one, the Madness.
All right.
I believe, what is it called? It's called, I have it pulled up right here.
Merciless Rage.
I am not a big-time Magic person. I'm not all the way in like these guys are. I play it. It's fun. I collect this stuff because I have an addiction problem. But yeah, the ins and outs and stuff, I just like playing the game, dude. I'm right there with you. Handful of games.
All right, it's up on the screen. All right, so yeah, this is a Merciless Rage. A lot of people are kind of really excited about this one. I can kind of understand why, but then again, I don't know. I think it's the one. So
is this the one that I want?
Yeah, this is the one you want.
Okay, this is the one I want.
Yeah.
Chris tells me what I want.
Yeah, well, it has a few. The thing about this Commander
He's my sugar
Precon,
daddy.
oh, whatever. This Commander Precons, they have a lot of reprint value. And I know other websites like Command Zone and all them have done value at the time when they got their hands on the product, and they could tell you like it was any of the decks were like $50 to $90 for reprints at the time that they got it. But now it's a little bit lower because it's been spoiled and everyone knows about it. So I still think the reprint value is about what the value is of the box. So you're still getting value on these cards.
That's good.
That being said, the commander, the face of this deck is Anja Falconwrath. Why is this card amazing, Joe?
One word, value. Mm-hmm. So not only does she have haste, not only does she have 3 cost, that 3 defense is actually harder to hit in Commander because generally your board wipes, your cheaper board wipes, are always going to deal 2 damage to each player. And also, aside from a few one-offs, dealing 3 damage to each creature in the form of a board wipe is usually in the form of an X spell. So that means the opponent usually has to pay 3+ in order to get rid of Anya. So the biggest key here is that she has haste, and her activated ability is a tap ability to use. So that's huge. You can do it on the same turn that she comes out. What she does is you discard a card, you draw a card. That's good in and of itself. You're replacing what you discard. So you're doing what they call it's the reverse of looting. It is rummaging.
Yeah.
So you're rummaging, for lack of a better term. The key is her her third line of text, which says whenever you discard a card, if it has madness is a mechanic that you can play a card whenever you discard it for an alternate for its madness cost, and then it gets around the timing restrictions of sorcery, enchantment, or artifact. So whenever you discard a card, if it has madness, untap Anya. So this is key here.
I'm pulling up a card that has madness on there. So while we're referencing that, I'm sorry. This Stromkirk Oculist, it has madness. So whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of your library. It's 2 and a red, but for madness, it's 1 and a red. And so as you're discarding it, you can cast it for that for the discounted price. So that's what the madness is. I just wanted to get that out so people understood that. Sorry.
Yeah, and so madness is a mechanic that existed in it first came out in the Odyssey block. It was a very powerful mechanic, especially whenever they had cards to support that. Anya is one of those cards. So if you notice also, whenever you discard a card, it doesn't say whenever you discard a card via her ability. It's just if you have a handful of cards, if somebody else forces you to discard. So let's say you have a wheel effect, and wheel effects are basically you discard your hand and draw X number of cards. It could be 7. It could be equal to the highest number of cards in a player's hand. Mm-hmm. Basically, when you're discarding those cards, you get to untap her. Okay, so they put Magus of the Wheel in there, which is, again, a great value because that was released in Commander 2016, and it hasn't been reprinted in anything else. I think it actually was reprinted in
Anthology.
In 25.
Yeah.
Was it? No, it was C17. I'm sorry. So it's Commander 2017, and then it was reprinted again in the
Masters 25.
In Masters 25. Okay, so it's a great card though, because you can tap it, sack it. Each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. Great for Anya because that allows you to essentially redo her ability. So let's say you have a handful of cards. You have 7 cards. When you discard all 7 of those cards, her untapped triggers will go on the stack. So in between each of those triggers, you can then tap her to discard a card and draw a card. So even if you're just discarding cards without madness, it's still 100% value because you get to untap her each time.
Yeah, and this is something that Rakdos has had trouble with before, being able to have card advantage in a way. So this is really helping Rakdos out quite a bit. Rakdos, for those that you don't know, is red and black together. It's a guild. So.
Oh.
So just so everybody knows, even though these cards don't the official product releases tomorrow. You can pick them up if you're going to Magic Fest Vegas. They're going to have a huge event there. But officially, this product doesn't release until tomorrow. A lot of stores actually are stocking them, like Walmart and Target, the big box stores, are stocking them tonight at midnight. So just a little insider knowledge there.
I'll be back, guys. I'm going to go get in line.
You might be able to find it there. But they officially release tomorrow night. And then you could pick them up this weekend. But the ones that we really recommend are Anya, and you can go in and make some changes to the deck.
Yeah, like take out the other commanders.
Yeah, like take out Greven and take out Chainer, because they are good in themselves, in and of themselves, but they don't go towards the overall theme of the deck, which is to either put madness cards into the graveyard for advantage, or just put cards in the graveyard period for advantage, so that you can bring them back out again at a later point. So the first two cards I would recommend taking out are obviously Greven and Chainer. Chainer, he's a tough call because he gives you the opportunity to cast cards out of your graveyard once each turn if you discard a card.
Yeah.
That helps towards Anya as well. So it's a win-win. But Greven, on the other hand, he's a completely different commander, structured for a different type of deck. He involves a lot of self-inflicted life loss, and that's where he shines.
Yeah.
So those are the first two cards that I would recommend taking out. And then Kirik, or Crick, which is what you had on earlier, Chris.
He's such a good commander card.
He's a great card for commander. However, he's not good in an Anya deck, because you're losing life, and a lot of times you don't have any other way to gain life. Rakdos, the color combination of black and red, not really well known for gaining life. In fact, there's a lot of cards in that specific color combination that prevent all players from gaining life.
Yeah, I just think his lifelink on there really mitigates that, though.
It does, but he's a 2/2.
Yeah, but he gets +1/+1 each time you cast a black spell, so...
That is true. So I would recommend, if you're going to use Crick as the commander...
I think he's the last cut if you're using Anja.
Yeah. So let's focus on Crick a little bit, because a lot of people have been talking about him and how he combos with certain cards, like Villas.
Yeah.
And Villas is great because whenever you lose life, you gain, or you draw a card.
And then Bolas' Citadel.
And obviously Bolas' Citadel. But one area where Crick could shine is actually with cards like Grey Merchant, and other creatures that have you gain life, or other spells that have you gain life and your opponents lose life.
Yeah.
So Crick is really good with spells like Torment of Hellfire, where all you have to do is just pay 4 and X. And in some cases, if you have something like a Jet Medallion, which makes all your black spells cost 1 less, or you have something like Helm of Awakening, which makes all spells cost 1 less, it'll eventually get to the point to where a card like Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which normally costs 3 colorless, 3 of any color plus 2 black, you could then just turn that into pay 4 life and cast it.
Yeah.
And that's great, because what he does is whenever he enters the battlefield, each opponent loses life equal to your devotion, and you gain that much life. So devotion is another mechanic that comes from Theros, where it's you lose life equal to the amount of black mana symbols on permanents. So lands don't have those black mana symbols, but Crick has 3 of those. Even though they're Phyrexian mana, they still count as black mana symbols.
What if
Go ahead.
What if it's something that is a dual land where it's like it has the symbol on it? Does that count?
Hybrid does count, but it's either or, I believe. You can't get it for no. Hybrid counts, but it's either or. You can't have a Phonax out that requires you to have a devotion of 7 and have like a hybrid.
Because it's not devotion at that.
Because
point.
it's not true devotion.
Okay.
It has to be
Not
like
that sweet devotion.
It has to be like a mana, the actual mana symbol. I can't remember. There was a ruling on it though. Whenever the devotion mechanic first came out for hybrid cards. Anyway, Phyrexian mana does count as a black mana symbol or green mana symbol, so on and so forth. But Crick basically says with a lot of cost reduction, you could play a black or a gray merchant for 4 life and then gain 5 life
At the very least.
times the amount of your opponents.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're gaining 15 life. So it's a net result of 11.
And
it's insane.
That's not counting any other permanents that you have out at that point. So you might have more than that. So that's what's insane. I think this one is probably there's not that much that you need to take out to really make the deck go with the star on the front of the box. I think because the way that these precons work, each one of the cards that could be a commander has a little bit in the deck that works for it. So you kind of have to take out the parts that work for that one specifically. There are plenty of madness cards that you can add in this deck and really make it hum.
Let me look at it real quick because I actually wanted to call out a specific card that really shines with Anya that you can just put in there. It's a real cheap card too.
Getting it shine on.
Yeah, it's an instant. It's a black instant from Amonkhet. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it says return to your hand all cards that were discarded or cycled this turn.
Oh.
What?
So playing with power, a great competitive commander. I know a lot of people, competitive commander isn't really their thing. It's more of high-powered commander games that normally team or builds decks. Decks will win in 2 to 4 turns. So it's all about, in those high-powered games or in those competitive commander games, it's all about resource denial and making sure that in a 4-player game, not one single player is able to just combo off or get the most amount of value out of their deck and then just win on the spot. That's powerful Magic, and it's a big turnoff for a lot of people who just want to play a casual game. So Playing with Power, great channel. They actually featured Anya in their latest video, which was released yesterday. And the Anya deck, I got to tell you, in one turn, he discarded 6 cards with Madness. Then used the instant to get all 6 of them back. So by the end of that turn, he had to discard 5 cards, and he got to untap Anya at the end of all that interaction.
And there's also there's a card in the deck that when you where's it at? Bone Miser. Whenever you discard a land card, add black.
Yeah.
That could get nasty too.
So there's a lot of really good Madness cards. A lot of them aren't actually in the deck, and some of them I would recommend that you just take a look. You know, when you get the deck, try it out of the box. It plays wonderfully.
I will be.
The Game Nights episode just released today from the Command Zone. I'd recommend going over there and watching it because Jimmy Wong does a really good job of piloting the Anya deck to great advantage, actually. He even pulls out some of the cards that I didn't really think had a lot of value, and they just immediately helped him in the game. He didn't win, but still.
I mean, Prof really just screwed him over, so...
That was good. We shouldn't really say too much further than that because I don't want to spoil it for the viewers. But
spoiler alert.
But I will say that the Anya deck, totally worth playing out of the box. It actually is one of the more enjoyable experiences because whenever they gave the breakdown, Command Zone, on their episode last week of the Anya deck, they said 22 cards were built towards the Madness theme. And so that deck next to the Jeskai deck had the most cards built to the theme in it out of all the other decks, out of all the other precons.
I think the Morph had just as many.
It had 17.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that one next, because I don't want to waste the whole entire time on that.
Oh, I could gush over every single one of these, but we don't want to do that. So the Faceless Menace deck.
So the main commander is Kadena, Slinking Sorcerer. The really good thing about this commander, and this is the one that I like the most out of the box, just because your face down creatures that you play each turn on each turn cost 3 less to cast. That's really great. But the fact is, whenever a face down creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to draw a card. So you get to cast it for free. It's basically a free draw if you have it out there. So I think that just really adds to the card's value and just makes it kind of amazing. And you also get a Planeswalker of Vraska the Unseen, and there was another Planeswalker there's a Planeswalker in each one of these decks. Not really that important. The other commanders in the deck are not really all that good, I'll be honest with you. Ryami could be good.
Ryami, and Volrath. Those are more specifically, again, just like Chainer and Greven, those two are commanders that they put in there to help other archetypes. Ryami herself is all right. She's not exactly what I would go for, but I don't want to spend too much time on that.
Yeah. And then the Clark Griswold, the Dread Sour.
That was good.
So trample, and at the beginning of your end step, each player creates a 1/1 green plant creature token, and whenever a creature token dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Clark. I think you have to add too many things. You have to change too many things out in this deck to make this work, and I think this is the absolute first cut in the deck, period. Because it's just, I don't think it adds anything that's good.
He's so cheap though.
Yeah. The best reprint in this deck, which I think is really awesome. Where's it at? Where's she at?
Seedborn Muse?
Yeah, where's it at though? Oh, there it is. Seedborn Muse. I think it's one of the more expensive ones that they're actually reprinting in this set. And the reason that it's so good is because untap all permanents you control during each player's untap step. And if you get something with Flash, there's lots of things that have Flash now, and especially from M19 or Core 19 or Core 20. There's a Leyline that gives you Flash, and it'll fit in this deck quite nicely. It's a little bit more restrictive of what you can flash out, but I think Seedborn Muse will just make it a gangbuster in any deck, and so I think there's a few things you can change out in this deck to make it really great.
So one thing I want to say about this deck is, out of the box, I rank it a little bit higher than Anya and the Jeskai deck as far as value goes, because out of the 17 cards that have to deal with the morph theme itself, 15 of those are actual morph cards, which means that you could pay 3 of any color. So if you're unable to get your Kadena out, like let's say you have all forests and all swamps, or you have all forests and all islands, and so on and so forth, if you're missing one of those key colors, you can still play the creatures and certain other cards that have morph in them from your hand by just paying 3 of any color.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not at 100% of a loss by playing this one out of the box, because it's not as color restrictive as, say, Anya or the Jeskai deck are.
Yeah. And I think to get the value engine going with Kadena, I don't think it's as hard as Anya either. So.
Yeah, and I mean, your first morph spell basically costs you free. It's basically free. And you're drawing a card off of that. But there's Trail of Mystery, and there's Secret Plans, which give you additional value for playing said morphs. So the one thing that I would do to add to the deck would be to put in there a way to give your spells flash. And again, other channels have already gone over that. Cards like Alchemist Refuge, Vedalken Orrery, and Leyline of Anticipation. Preferably Alchemist Refuge and Leyline, since they're the cheaper of the 3. But they give you the ability to play these flash these for free during somebody else's turn, as long as it's the first one that you play.
Yeah.
And that's huge. Yeah, that's basically saying play a card, draw a card during your opponent's turn.
And there's nothing more powerful in Magic than being able to play your cards whenever you want. So.
Spoken like a true blue mage. I'm proud of you. You're starting to learn the ways.
All right. So we gushed over Rakdos for a long time. I don't think we can gush over this one that much. I think this is a really good one. I really like it. And I think the mana base on all of them are super good. I think they go overboard with the lands, though. There's like 3 or 4 lands that they probably don't need to put in there. That's basics.
I mean, if you're talking about... Well, so one thing you have to consider is that if a player wanted to step up to Commander, and let's say they've only been playing Standard, like you guys in your position, right? So let's say you've only been playing Standard and you wanted to play a game with me because you saw me playing Commander before talking about it. You go to pick up this pre-con, you want to have all of the best lands that you can for those colors on a budget. And so that's what they're doing. They're giving you access to the best lands that they can for those colors on a budget. And they even went so far as to include a Tango land, which is amazing.
Tango. What does that mean?
Thespian Sage.
No. Tango lands are from Battle for Zendikar, and they have the dual land type. So it's in this case, it's Sunken Hollow. It counts as an island and a swamp. So whenever you have a card that says to fetch up an island or a swamp, you can go get that card because it meets both. It qualifies for both. The condition, the reason why it's called a Tango land is because it requires you to have at least 2 basics out for it to enter the battlefield untapped.
Which, if you're playing Commander right, you'll definitely have that.
Yeah, so you can either play it first turn tapped if you don't have a first turn play, or
What if I'm playing it wrong?
You can wait until turn 3 and it comes into play untapped, and you can immediately get value out of it because you can use it for blue or black mana.
Yeah,
Cool.
Honestly, in Magic, one of the things that I really look forward to and stuff is lands. I always try to look for lands because since I'm a new player, I don't have all the lands from Magic's history. So I try to look for things that I think would add to my mana base and just make it to where when I build a Commander deck, I'm not going to be like, well, I guess I got to throw in more basics because, yeah, basics really get the job done, but they're not flexible. And I
Can't flex on them.
Yeah. Okay, Robert. Yeah, you can't flex on them. But
so one of the things, that I will say about that is the good thing about Commander precons is they're actively trying to put all of the good lands in there, with the exception of the fetch lands and the shock lands and the true dual lands.
Yeah.
All the other lands though are free game, and they've actually demonstrated that by putting them in each different iteration of the Commander decks since 2011.
Yeah, I think they are fair with, and it kind of surprised me that they threw in Thespian Stage. That was a $2 or $3 card at one point, and they just threw it in the land cycle.
The biggest one for me is actually Ash Barrens and Myriad Landscape. Those lands were getting harder and harder to find because they were reprinted in 25, but they're still hard to find for a Commander player.
Yeah. All right.
And really good. Okay.
Next one, the Jeskai Mystic Intellect. I don't really like this one that much.
So the only thing that I would, the only reason why I'm getting this one, unfortunately I couldn't pre-order all of them because of budget reasons, but I'm getting at least 2, and this is one of the 2. And the only one that I'm really getting out of this is going to be Elsha.
Yeah. It's the star of the deck, and it's really the big reason to own this deck, honestly.
What'd it do?
Okay.
So she has prowess. She costs 2 and Jeskai, a blue, a red, and a white.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can look at the top card of your library anytime.
Mm-hmm.
You may cast the top card of your library if it is a non-creature, non-land card, and you may cast it as though it had flash.
So affording you the opportunity to play stuff on your opponent's turn that you normally wouldn't is really good. Again.
I see the community ranked it at 5 stars, so I guess it is good.
So it has a lot of potential here because it acts as 2 different cards in one. It acts as a Bolas' Citadel not necessarily. It acts as a future sight and a Vidalcan Orrery.
Yeah.
And for non-creature spells, and that is huge considering the fact that this color combination has a lot of powerful commanders like Narset the Enlightened, like the Kaikar, which is the Kaikar, which is the preferred Jeskai commander from M20, and people still run that competitively. But Elsha, I think, tops that. Even though she costs 1 more mana, she gives you the accessibility that you need in those colors to respond to your opponents or to play things when your opponent's shields are down, especially if you have a way to manipulate the top of your library. The biggest one being Scroll Rack, the second biggest one being Sense's Divining Top. None of those cards are in the precon, and that's a shame because Elsha, she's not the headliner card of the deck. She's the standout, but she's not the headliner. The headliner is the commander that plays with flashback spells. And that's what your deck is actually built around. That's what the precon is built around, the ability to flashback your spells.
And I think Elsha, if you add like a Leyline of the Void and she looks at the top card of your deck, can you then cast creature cards?
What do you mean? Which Leyline are you talking about?
The flash.
The blue one.
Yeah. Can you cast creature cards at that point then?
Unfortunately, no, because her condition is you may cast it only if it's a non-creature card.
The top card. You can only do that. Okay.
Top card.
That's unfortunate.
So you would need to add Future Sight in there, which I think a little redundancy is great. In fact, I would highly recommend that. So let's just table the fact that the rest of the deck is tuned for flashback spells or copying spells.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just table that, and let's just focus on Elsha because I think she is the standout. She's the best part of it. With the exception of a few other spells in the deck, you have spells like Ghostly Prison, which is a non-creature spell that can be cast as though it had flash. So let's say somebody else is running a really powerful creature aggro deck, and you want to make sure that your Ghostly Prison sticks through a bunch of removal that they might have. Like, let's say they're a green deck and they run Beast Within or Crozen Grip. So you go, okay, with your Elsha out, you can flash in Ghostly Prison from the top of your library at the end of their main step to kind of discourage them from attacking you. To be like, okay, well, I'll just flash in this, or Propaganda, which is the blue version of Ghostly Prison.
I hate Propaganda.
I love Propaganda.
It's so good. But basically, there is inherent value with Elsha in the fact that you can play on a whole new level and play around what your opponents are doing rather than just running Ghostly Prison out on your main phase, only to have your opponent play like a Reclamation Sage, getting rid of it on their turn and then swinging in for a big hit. Another thing that people are doing, just like Anya, she's been making waves in the competitive community because people have been trying to chain Storm spells with Storm. Storm is a great mechanic. It's actually an OP mechanic that Mark Rosewater has promised it will never be printed in Standard again. The Storm mechanic states, when you cast the spell, copy it for each spell cast this turn. So that means with Elsha, if you have a way to cast multiple non-creature spells off the top of your library, and one of those spells is Storm, for example, Grape Shot, which says deal 1 damage to... hey, thanks a lot, Davis, for joining. I didn't see you there, man. We appreciate that. So one of the things that Grape Shot does is it's our sorcerer. In this, I would recommend in an Elsha deck that you run Grape Shot, because it's deal 1 damage to any target, and then it has Storm. So for 1 in red, if you've cast 6 spells that turn, you're going to deal a total of 7 damage to any number of targets on the battlefield, which is huge.
Yeah, even in Standard, there's a way to recreate a Storm-type situation with Ral, Stormcaller, and 2 copy spells, which there's plenty of copy spells in Standard right now.
So this, yeah, like you said, Ralzarek, and there's also 1,000-Year Storm There's a lot of ways to break Elsha, and I think she has the most potential out of all of them. And that's why I value her more so than Kadena or Anya, even though those are both very powerful commanders. And also, there's Jared, which we're about to talk about. But I just like her more because she speaks more to my combo side. The potential I have for deck building accelerates a lot more over Anya and Kadena.
And one of the big reprints in this deck is probably Sun Titan. I don't think it was a crazy amount, but it was one of the bigger ones. What in the land base in this one is really good?
Prairie Stream, and one more is...
Yeah, I like those type of lands.
I think Prairie Stream, Ash Barrens. Okay, so one thing that they did was they stuck the same 4 lands in all of them, with the exception of Command Tower. And those same 4 lands are Exotic Orchard, Ash Barrens, Myriad Landscape, and there's one more. It is Temple of the False God, which has the new updated art, and I think that's awesome.
Don't all of them have Terramorphic Expanse also?
Yeah, they do, but I mean, cards like Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds have been reprinted into Oblivion.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of the same with Temple of the False God. They started including Temple of the False God in Commander 2016, so it's kind of getting cheaper. But I just love that new art and the new formatting with the colorless mana symbols in there.
Yeah.
So basically, the same 4 lands are in it, and actually, that 4th land slot for this one is a Tangle land that's relevant to their certain colors. So, for example, Prairie Stream in this one, Sunken Hollow in the last one, Smoldering Marsh in the Anya deck, and then for the Giran deck, it's Sheltered. It's not Sheltered Thicket. We'll go to that. Cinderglade. I think Cinderglade's the other Tango land. It isn't that these were getting up there in cost. It was the fact that they're just made more accessible now.
Yeah, they're trying to do stuff to where they also are scared about reprinting stuff, because then all the Commander precons will be bought out and the new players won't have it. I understand that, but
it is a situation that they've run into twice now.
Yeah. But I know that they also like making money, so they probably don't mind it that much. So.
Yeah. So we'll move on real quickly to Jared. That was the Jeskai deck. Out of the box, it has a lot of power. It's not as powerful as Kadena and Anya because it's real hit or miss. Half of the deck is towards flashback. The other half of the deck is just towards non-creature spells and accelerating those. And so it makes it a little bit awkward, but I definitely recommend Elsha out of the box over Savine, which is unfortunate because Savine is a good commander out of its own right. I really don't want to talk about that damn wall.
Yeah, the wall is terrible. I'm just going to say. And then Gerard is kind of a nifty little board wipe protection.
So like I said, again, watch the Command Zone Game Nights video that recently came out earlier today, for seeing the full power of all 4 decks because they played them to their fullest potential, and I really enjoyed watching it. Gerard himself actually showed up and did so much work on one turn.
There was and the car. I don't know. I'm falling down in my chair. Hold on.
So excited.
So Gerard I think he's really interesting, and it has one of the cards in the deck that I really like and I've played with before. Desolation Twins and Tristani.
Oh, so you're talking about Jared because you said Gerard.
Gerard. Depardieu. Garrett. Yeah, I really like him. And it also has Garrick.
Garrick Primal Hunter is actually one of the better Garrick cards, I think. So, you have some experience with token decks, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let you take it away on this one.
You don't have any experience with token decks?
Oh, no, I do, actually. I run a zombie token deck in Verena, and I ran Tristani for a while as far as token decks go. So I know more than my fair share.
Okay. So, basically, he comes in with a 4/4 Rhino creature token. that's pretty good. 2 bodies for 1, and it's only 5 CMC. So that's pretty good. For
So he comes in like a wrecking ball.
yeah. And whenever he attacks, he populates. That basically means he creates a copy of that creature, of the token creature. So any token creature that you have out on the field, you create a copy of it. And since he already comes out with a 4/4 Rhino token, yeah, that's you have 8 power. I'm sorry, 8. You have 10 power just from 1 card, which is insane. And if you have anything else in there that creates tokens, it could just accelerate and go crazy. There's 1 card in specifically that I think is just insane in the deck. Where is it at? It's not that. Hold on.
Giant Ediphage.
Yeah, where is it at?
It's you are almost there.
It's right there in the middle of the creatures.
Where?
Just
No,
before
no,
Solo
go
Zendikar.
up.
I can't hear both of you at the same time. Oh, there we go. All right. So this one, I think this is the most powerful token creature maker in the game. Honestly, I could be wrong, but
Probably.
it's 5 green. It has trample. It's a creature insect, and it's a 7/7. Whenever Giant Ediphage deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Ediphage. So it's an exact copy. So you keep attacking with it, and it just multiplies like rabbits. It's the rabbit Ediphage is what I'm calling it, because it just multiplies so fast. And with trample, even if they have something to block, you'll still trample over that unless they have enough 7 defense to block it all the way up, which it's kind of hard. But at the time when you could cast this, they might have that. But still, I think it's one of the most powerful cards in the deck. What do you think, Joe?
So yeah, actually one of the absolute most powerful cards in this deck is Mimic Vat. Mimic Vat gives you those tokens. They have haste, and you get the ability to steal other players' tokens. And I'm digging the alternate art, but yeah, that's the most powerful card in the deck. So some of the things that I would trim down would obviously be the creatures themselves. I would try to add in creatures that have more token
Centricity.
Themes, but also one of the things that I would recommend picking up. There's the higher costing one is Doubling Season.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that's $50-$60.
Yeah, the other one is Parallel Lives, and then its white counterpart. Thanks for
stopping by,
Jesse. The counterpart to that is actually Anointed Procession, which is the cheaper of the 3. That doubles your token production and really helps you excel. And also, something to point out on Jared himself is that the token that he populates with whenever he attacks enters the battlefield tapped and attacking.
Yep. That's insane.
So if you have Anointed Procession, let's just say you go to your LGS, and while you're picking up the deck, you also pick up Anointed Procession, which is now up to about $6 or $7. It's probably going to be up to a little bit more since Jared came out. Or if you even have Parallel Lives or Doubling Season, when you attack with Jared and you have those enchantments out, you get to produce an extra token on top of that one when you populate that is also tapped and attacking.
That's insane. And plus, there's all kinds of other token populate in the deck that just it can snowball out of control pretty fast.
Oh yeah. So one of the other things that I would add in here is Perforos. Of course, he's $30 to $40 right now. Or I would add Impact Tremors, which is actually cheaper. It's around $1 or so. It's probably going to be in the 75-cent to $1 range. And then the other one that they include in here is Warstorm Surge, which is a really good way to... Or no, they don't actually have it in this deck, but it's in the other precons. I believe it's in the Anya precon. But anyway, Warstorm Surge is really good because you're populating these big 4/4 tokens, Rhino tokens, or possibly a Desolation Twin token, and the Warstorm Surge allows you to deal that much damage to your opponent.
Yeah. And how about the reprint on those Lightning Greaves? Oh.
Yeah, so Lightning Greaves is good. They always, each year they try to include either Lightning Greaves or Swiftfoot Boots, which I think is great.
Boots.
Yeah.
They're made for walking, from what I hear.
Some of the more interesting reprints that I'm getting from here are actually Thragtusk and Voice of Many are some of the more interesting ones that they chose to put in here. And then, of course, Song of the World Soul is just a fantastic enchantment that I love. If you want to highlight that real quick, Chris.
Yeah. Pulling it up in Gatherer. Okay. So it's Song of the World Soul. It's 4 white. Whenever you cast a spell, populate. Create a token that's a copy of creature token you control. If you get this out early enough, it itself will just be hard to deal with, and if they don't have enchantment removal, it doesn't matter what they do. You're always going to have stuff on the board.
So since Desolation Twins, and I'm not going to say where I got this from, but I have seen it happen for spoiler reasons. Since Desolation Twins token making text is on cast, his ability is on cast, and you have Song of the World Soul out, you can stack the triggers to where the Desolation token comes into play first, then you populate that token. So you'll get 30 power worth of creatures for 10 mana, or cheaper if you have some way to reduce the cost.
And then you attack with the commander, and then you have another Desolation Twin tapped and
attacking.
That's insane. So in one turn, you could have 40 power put on the board.
Yep. So what I would recommend for everybody that's watching this now or later, even after release, is I would recommend that everybody gets a hold of all of the precons if you can, whether it be now or over time. It's worth it. I don't care if they start to lose value because people are like, well, they didn't reprint that many good cards. That's not the point. The point of it is that these decks are so well built out of all the ones that have come before it, minus the minus the Commander
2016?
2013 decks.
Oh.
2016 decks were a mess because all they did really was just give you partners, but they were still a mess. Minus the 2011 and 2013 decks, these are probably I want to say the best put together decks that we've seen in a while.
Yeah. I'm really excited about all these. Can't wait to get a hold of them. I can't wait to play. I kind of want to do a thing where we all play each other with it. I know Mike Ingledew, he's going to get one or two of the precons, and I'd like to have us all play each other eventually. We got something planned whenever we can find time to play it. We got so much stuff going on. We haven't been able to play a Commander game altogether. But that'll be coming soon.
Here's something I'll say. For my choice, if it was up to me, and I had the ability to sit down with you guys, with everybody, I would actually call the Jared deck Jared, because that is actually one of my favorite mechanics is populate, the ability to just create tokens and continuously do so to gain board advantage.
Joe just called dibs.
Yeah, he did.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He literally just called dibs.
I'm the most experienced player, so let me just go ahead and call dibs right now.
Like, to me, Jared is actually the most fun to play with. It may not have the most value, but to me, it just seems like the most fun to play with. Now, I know Chris is calling Faceless Menace first. He's probably going to call dibs on that.
I know Mike and Robert, they both want that Rakdos deck.
So they're going to have to fight over that because, like I said, I call Jared because it seems like a really fun deck to play with, for me, at least. out of the box wise. Because what I look for in a pre-con deck is I don't look for if it can win or how well put together it is. I look for how fun it is to pilot.
I think it's one of the more against the other precons. I think it's one of the more hard to deal with from the other precons standpoint. Honestly.
Yeah, because you're able to generate so much value off of creating multiple tokens.
Which is why you want the deck against the precon decks.
Well, it's just board presence, really, because in the vacuum of the precon only meta, you can only do so much with what you're given.
Yeah.
And I think establishing and maintaining a board presence is one of the key things to do. So it's akin to, but not as powerful as an Edgar Markov deck, because Edgar Markov, you do a board wipe on them and they just go, okay, well, let me cast one of my cheaper vampires or multiple cheap vampires, and I just gained 4 or 5 creatures after a board wipe. Jared does the same exact thing, but with less creatures. So it'll create 2 to 3 creatures at a time, or in some cases, 4 creatures with something like Song of the World Soul out.
I think Arla Polani, that one, she could be kind of broken too as a commander.
Atla?
You just have to have the populate in the deck to really make it hum, which it does.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and let us know what Atla does.
So she has 2 at a tap, create a 0/1 green creature token with Defender. Whenever
egg. It's an egg.
Yeah, egg. Green egg creature token, yeah, with Defender.
Okay.
Whenever an egg you control dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. So let's say they wipe your board. You're going to keep doing that until you get creatures out on the board. So it's hey, if you wipe the board, cool. I just rebuild bigger.
So something that everybody's been going for with Atla is there's a mechanic called Changeling, where if a creature has Changeling, it has all creature types of all the creatures that have ever existed in Magic at the same time, no matter where it's at. So in this case, it is an egg creature type. So with Atla, there's a creature, or in this specific deck, if you're building towards this deck, this is what I would recommend. There's a creature that is called, I'm blanking on him, but he costs 2 and a white, and he's a 2/2 changeling that has an activated ability that says X. You pay X. Each of your creature, or all of your creatures, become XX changelings. So they gain all creature types until end of turn. And so with this combo, you can essentially pay 0 for the X ability. All your creatures become 0/0 changelings, which means that they are eggs. They all automatically die because their toughness is 0, and to a game base, to game state or state-based action. So that means that you get, if you have Atla, the changeling, and at least 3 other creatures out, you'll be able to trigger Atla 5 times, which means you'll be able to look for the next 5 creatures for 0 mana in your deck. If you can build your deck to where you can benefit off of just that, you'll be able to run out like an Avenger of Zendikar or Kiki Jiki plus Zealous Conscripts.
Wait, excuse me?
Craterhoof Behemoth.
Craterhoof Behemoth. Those are all things that you can do. So like basically you create a deck that it only contains 4 to 5 creatures, actual creature cards that are the most powerful creatures you can think of that have enter the battlefield abilities. And then you go, okay, the rest of the deck is dedicated to creating tokens. And then you play that one creature that's the 2 and 1 white that makes all your other creatures changelings. You just play that one creature with the rest of your tokens, and you have an instant army every time.
That's redundant.
It's so stupid. Oh, so there's just in Magic. There's always stupid things like that.
It's called Mirage. It's not Mirage Entity. What is it? It's something Entity. I'll get the name of the card out because it's been reprinted so many times. It's super accessible. Mirror Entity. That's what it's called.
You know what though? That combo sounds real exciting.
There you go. Delicious. So, Fear Entity is a changeling. He's a 1/1, costs 2 and a white, and his text is X, pay X until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness X and gain all creature types. So you just pay 0. All your dudes become 0/0 eggs. They all die because of state-based actions.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to look at the top card of your library until you find a creature for however many creatures you had on the battlefield.
Okay, what if you have to wait till it has summoning sickness, I assume, correct?
No, it's just you pay. It's an X ability that you don't have to pay. You don't have to tap it for.
Jesus, that's insane.
All you have to have is your commander, this creature, and 2 to 3 tokens. And if you build your deck the right way, you have stuff like Colony Garden. It's a land that taps for green, and it says whenever it enters the battlefield, you can put a 0/1 green plant token into play. So you don't even have to pay any mana for that. That just happens. Then you have other spells that you have spells like Saproling Swarm, where you can, or Sprouting Swarm, where it has buyback, which means that you pay 1 and a green to create a 1/1 Saproling token, and then you buy it back for 3, which means it goes, if you pay an extra 3, it goes back to your hand. So you can continuously do that for however much mana that you have until you're ready to make this big play.
Yeah, and you got to hope that you draw that one specific. You need to have like Worldly Tutor or something like that.
Yep, and guess what they've reprinted recently in the Masters 25 set and Modern Horizons?
Is it Worldly Tutor?
No. It's Eldamari's Call.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
It's for a green and a white. It lets you tutor up a creature. But also there's a budget option that I really want to focus hard on because this is the Joe special. It is called Signal the Clans. It's an instant for a green and a red, and it states search your library for 3 cards, or 3 creature cards. If you and reveal them, choose one at random. If they each had different names, you put the chosen one into your hand, and you shuffle the rest back into your library.
Which chosen one?
That's a tutor that lets you grab 3 creatures, then you pick one at random, and then if they all have different names, which of course in Commander you can only have one of each card, so you're only getting one of these creature cards, you then put that the randomly chosen one into your hand. So if you do it right, you can look for the Changeling and another one of those big, or 2 of those other big creatures, and basically that'll help you kind of sculpt and manipulate your deck. And Signal of the Clans is great. I love it.
You could also have Shared Summonings, which just came out in M20. That's a tutor for 2 creatures, but it doesn't put it out on the battlefield. There's also Green Sun Zenith. That one's not too bad. And also, what's that one where it choose 1 or it choose 2? That green spell, Joe?
Oh, that one.
You're talking about, I think you're talking about, well, there's a big one that's called Congregation at Dawn. It's for 2 green and a white, and it lets you search your library for 3 creature cards, reveal them, put them on the top of your library in any order.
No. Oh, God, what is it? I put all my cards.
It lets you search for 2.
You choose 2, and it has gain 7 life, put a creature card on top of its owner's library.
Primal Command.
Yeah, I think that's a good search card.
And Primal Command is actually in one of these decks, I believe. It's in the Faceless Menace deck.
Is it? Let's see. I'm not seeing the Primal Command in there.
Okay, it's been reprinted recently.
Yeah.
I do know that much. But it's a great one, too. Like you said, it's a good tutor. So, fortunately for us, green and white have a lot of really good tutor cards. Like, there's the more expensive ones are Court of Calling, Green Sun Zenith, like you said, or this is a big one, Finale of Devastation. If you do it right, you can just hit a Finale of Devastation. You're a Naya, green and white red, which gives you so many options for ramp. You have Land Tax, you have Tithe. Those are just the white ones. You have Smothering Tithe, You have Rampant Growth, Farseek,
Guardian Project.
Guardian Project. Well, I mean, I'm talking about ramp, like
Oh.
cards that let you get lands onto your battlefield. You have Cultivate. You have Kodama's Reach. You have all these really good green and white ramp spells that let you just get all this mana out, and then you go, okay, Finale of Devastation to look for my Avenger of Zendikar.
Yep.
So there's a lot you could potentially do with an Atla deck. I would actually, so if I had the choice, I would play this out of the box, and then immediately after, I would slot Atla into my custom-made Eggs combo deck.
And then just combo out of control. Anytime you have an opening hand with creatures in it, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You just toss that back.
So really, it allows you to only run a handful of creatures, good creatures, mind you, but a handful of creatures that benefit from enter the battlefield abilities, and then the rest of your deck can be dedicated to mana ramp, dedicated to disruption. Like you could put in Beast Withins, you could put in Return to Dust, Wraths. You put in all the good removal spells in red, white, and green, which there are a ton of. And you can also put in really good control cards, too. Like Thalia, Heretic Cathar. You could put in stuff like Aethersworn Canoness that only lets you cast one non-artifact spell a turn. I mean, white has a lot of good cards that let you just shut down your opponents. You can even go all in on the non-artifact plan and runs a card like Stony Silence, which is an enchantment that says opponents or artifact abilities can't be activated.
Yeah. Or just add in Karn also.
Yeah. So you could go all in and go against artifact and enchantment hate in that deck while you're maintaining your ramp, while you're maintaining your card draw, because green has a lot of really good card draw too. You're maintaining your creature removal, and then you just the whole time you gain so much advantage that your opponents can't keep up by the time you do your eggs combo.
Yeah, you could even turn it into a Super Friends deck with only 5 creatures in it and just planeswalkers to tide you over. Really powerful planeswalkers. Like if you can, if you have Doubling Season in the deck and you play Nissa from War of the Spark, or is it M20 where her ulti is put all forest cards into the on the battlefield and all lands have indestructible.
That's War of the Spark.
Yeah, that one would be insane with Doubling Season.
Yeah. So we're way over time, but those are just some of the key things that I would do with these precons. Again, really solid precons. I'm not going to sit here and preach about card value and reprint value because ultimately that's not what Wizards' goal is. Wizards' goal is to get accessible, easy cards into new players' hands to promote the format and to promote sales of these newer cards. They're not interested in increasing or maintaining the secondary market with reprints or breaking eternal formats any more than they have to.
Yeah, well, when I say a reprint value, yes, value and money, but I also feel like it's cards that were just needed to be reprinted for Commander cards, period. And they did that with this one. I think they did really good on this set, honestly. This is probably their best Commander set in a long time.
Oh yeah, but that's all I've got for that. It's really late. We enjoyed everybody that stopped by, and said hey, and we hope that you guys have enjoyed the 2-team takedown tournament so far. We're on our last round, the fellowship round, as Chris likes to affectionately put it.
Well,
and so we've already had fellowship between Jocelyn and Matt Brewer. Congratulations to Jocelyn for winning her match. We just got the update on that.
Oh, nice. All right.
Cool.
So,
Nice.
look forward to talking to everyone the rest of the time. You want to take us out, Rob? You got anything else?
While y'all were talking, I was doing this drawing.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I wasn't paying attention to anything y'all were saying. That was my face while y'all were going on. Like, hurry up, finish.
Well, Rob,
Just
which
playing.
of the,
I was listening. I was
which of the
learning. So,
precons do you want the most out of this?
Whichever one y'all tell me I want is the one I want. No, it really was the first one. That's why I paid more attention to the first one than the other ones. The other ones seem too complicated to me. Like they're beyond my skill level.
So
Yeah, they're over 9,000.
one thing, Rob, though, is that a lot of the Reanimator cards that I have in that Wizards deck that you're running for the next video, you could easily put those in Anya, and she would run perfectly. Like Living Death, cards like Living Death or Living End.
Yeah.
If you tune your Anya deck just right, you could have 13 cards in your graveyard that are all creature cards with Madness or without, and then you just play Living End or Living Death and get them all out while everybody else has to kind of deal with all their creatures going to the graveyard, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm probably will play that card from now on, just because you say it Anya, and every time I play it, I'm gonna say I'm putting it Anya.
There you go.
Just for that, I'm gonna do it. Okay, so is that it? We're good.
Yeah, that's
We're
it.
done? All right. Anybody else? No question?
No,
Right?
that's
Round
it.
table? Okay. So that's going to wrap things up for us here in the CR Game Room. Be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, my God. Help support us via Patreon, too. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and join our conversations on Discord. Check out our website, crgr.rocks. And as always, thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye.
Go back to drawing now, Robert.
I want to go to sleep.